Hey everybody, this is Chad from linandchad.com, and today we're going to be doing a quick tutorial and overview of the AddToAny sharing plugin for your WordPress blog. Now, one of the most important things on a blog at this point is getting people to share your content via social media, sharing it through Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, whatever platform your readers like to use. You want them to be putting your content onto that platform for you. Now, aside from the obvious point of creating valuable, enjoyable content, the next step is to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible for them to spread that content virally for you. Now, there are a lot of plugins that do this. I've looked at a handful of them myself, and the one that I liked the most was the AddToAny plugin. You can get it, check it out, look into it. Just go to AddToAny.com or do a search for the AddToAny plugin. Just type it into Google. But for our purposes today, I'm going to go ahead and look at the settings in my dashboard. Once you've installed it, you can just go to the Manage Plugins. The settings link will be right there. You can also get it in the settings list on your dashboard. Now, AddToAny has a lot of features that a lot of other ones don't, and we'll get to those one at a time throughout it. For now, we're just going to go through the options page one step at a time. One of the big issues that I had when looking at different sharing plugins was that it seemed kind of like an all or nothing thing with most of them. You could either have a button that pulled a menu of a million different services, or you could have individual buttons. And I felt like there should be the best of both worlds, and I found that with AddToAny. I pull up my actual blog here and go to a specific post. You'll see that I have both individual buttons down at the bottom here for a multitude of services, and then I have a button that I can hover over, just like a lot of other sharing platforms offer, that gives you a list, an expandable list of different services that my readers can use. Now, services that offer just this expandable list, this is a lot to take in. No one wants to pull this up, scroll through it, find their favorite service, look at all this little fine text and all the icons, and find the one platform they like to use. So if this is the only way they have to share it, they're not going to use it. It's not ultimately going to make their lives any easier. So it's not serving as encouragement for them. If you have individual buttons for more popular services like Twitter, Dig, Facebook, Technorati, things like that, that makes it a lot easier. So this particular sharing platform gives you the expandable list for more obscure options, and it also gives you the individual buttons for the ones that are going to be the most looked for and sought after. Now, those standalone buttons are completely and totally customizable. When they named this service AddToAny, they meant it. By clicking Add to Remove Services, you can see all the different services that AddToAny integrates with. And as you can tell, there are quite a bit of them. Their goal, and I think they've done a really good job of it, is to provide you with a way to let your users share on any service possible. So if they find one, they add it. You can select by simply clicking which services you want to add individual service buttons for. They appear up here. So if I wanted to add a button for people to do a blogger post about something I've written, click on it. It appears right up top here. Then I can relocate that by simply dragging it. And there you go. You can completely and totally reorder your buttons. So you can have all the customized buttons you want and only the ones you want. And then rely on the expandable list for the more obscure, less common, but still usable options that your audience might be interested in. Now, below that, you have the actual button itself. You've got a lot of different options here. You can use a small button with a text link next to it, and that text link is customizable. You can retype the text right in here, or you have this green button where you can do the exact same thing, completely customizable text next to one of two buttons. Then you have these three button options of varying sizes and styles. Below that, really cool, is an image URL. It's really easy to, if you have your own image or you have the means to create your own sharing image, you can simply put a URL in there and use your own image URL, which is exactly what I've done. If you look at our blog, it has this. It's very simple, but I wanted to incorporate the small icon with the button that fit the same size and have it simply say more sharing options. And that was one of the few things that wasn't already available. I didn't really like the share/save option. I like the more sharing option, so I incorporated that into a button, uploaded it to my blog in an icons folder, and just put the URL right in here, and it works great. There's also a text only. If you just want to have a link at the bottom, you can do that. That text link will expand the same menu as the actual image icon itself. Below that, you have placement options. This is where your sharing icons are going to be displayed because you don't necessarily want them everywhere. You can choose whether or not you want it to display at the bottom of posts, and then within that, do you want them on the front page or do you want them just on the primary posts themselves? I've unchecked on the front page because pretty much all the posts on our front page are going to be shortened by the use of excerpts. So I don't necessarily want people to be reading this and then looking at all these buttons because they aren't going to share it after reading the excerpt necessarily. They might, but odds are they're going to want to read the whole post first. So once they click to read more and get to the actual post itself, down at the end, they'll have all the options. So it shows up on the post, but not the front page, which is really key, and it saves a lot of space on my homepage. In addition to that, you can select whether or not you want those share and save buttons to be available at the bottom of posts in your RSS feed. So if you have a lot of subscribers who are reading your posts in a feed reader, they're going to get those sharing buttons, which is really, really key. You can also select whether or not you want the share and save button to display at the bottom of pages. If you have pages that you don't think are something you're going to want your users to share versus your pages are full of content that you do want spread around, you can select optionally whether or not you want that to be available or not. It does say if unchecked, be sure to place the following code, and you can expand that code right here on the necessary PHP files. That seems to be somewhat theme specific. On my theme, that wasn't necessary. I unchecked pages and it worked just fine. So it's going to depend on your theme and your blog setup on whether or not you need to actually implement this code. Personally, I didn't need it, but it's really nice that they saw the possible need for it and they made it really easy for you to access it. The menu style is, again, really, really key. A lot of these sharing options either don't give you the option or they make it somewhat difficult for you to customize the menu. If you have a somewhat unique color scheme to your blog, or if it's even not that unique, but you just like everything to look nice, you can open the menu styler by clicking that button, and you can change all of the colors for everything on the menu and make a completely unique menu based on the colors that you choose. You can then say done and get code. It gives you the code. It's copied when you click on it, and then all you have to do is paste it right into this box. Then your menu will match the color scheme of your blog. So you can completely and totally customize all the colors of this menu. So not only do you have these great standalone service buttons and an expandable menu, but it's a menu that will match your blog completely. The other thing that isn't listed on this page, I mentioned before that one of the fallouts of the menu type sharing options is they bring up this menu, and if you don't see what you like, you have to bring up this huge expanded list, which at this point you've completely lost the convenience factor of this sharing option. With AddToAny, your readers and visitors are very rarely, if ever, going to have to bring up that menu, because this list will completely reorganize itself based on the websites that your readers visit. For example, if you look at this list, you'll notice that 3 of these are in bold. Facebook, Amazon Wishlist, and Twitter are the 3 pages on this list that I've visited since the last time I cleared my cookies from my web browser. AddToAny scans your visitors' cookies very quickly as the page loads, and it puts the sites that they actually visit at the top of the list. So if they don't happen to see their preferred option in your standalone services, when they hover over your button and that menu comes up, their favorite site will be at the top of the list every single time. So it's very easy, no matter how obscure or off the wall the site that your visitors like to share on might be, they'll always have it at their fingertips ready to go, and sharing has never been easier than it is with the AddToAny plugin. So I hope going through those settings helped you get things set up. There's kind of a lot to go through and a lot to arrange, but once you implement all these settings and all these options, it's really a very, very turnkey way to get your content shared very simply across the web. So I hope that helped, and if you have any questions, be sure to let us know.